back to NWA and Beyond, your real estate podcast. I'm Carter Clark.
And I'm Russell King.
And today we're going to do a little market snapshot on Rogers, Arkansas. Russell?
Yes, Rogers stands alone, not the little brother anymore.
That's right. So for so long, everybody just thought of Rogers as the little brother of Bentonville, and times have changed, haven't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, Rogers specifically is $100,000 more than Springdale.
Yep.
And it's about $100,000 cheaper than Bentonville.
Yep. So we're just walking up the corridor.
Yeah.
So, let's take a look at kind of what's driving some of that growth for Rogers. And there's some really cool stuff that's happened over the last, I don't know, however many years. What's it been? The last 15 years probably.
I'd say that, yeah.
So some of the things that are really driving Rogers, the Promenade area, all the stuff that's happened around Pinnacle. So you got the Promenade, you got the Walmart AMP. That's where Topgolf is. Lots of restaurants, lots of entertainment, lots of shopping. That's really shifted there to the Rogers area. There's also some really good medical stuff that's happening there, right?
Yes, yeah. Mercy Hospital's ongoing expansion, drawing lots of high-income healthcare professionals. Not to mention United Industries recently opened a major second plant in Rogers, doubling their manufacturing capacity for the new year. Walmart AMP, a $13.9 million expansion, has really solidified Rogers as kind of the entertainment capital of the Ozarks.
That's right. And I mean, we're both music nuts, so it's always fun to see all the great bands that are coming through there. Everything from country music to rap, it's like across the board, including comedians and all kinds of different stuff that are coming through the AMP that make it fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing that's really happened in really all the towns, but you've seen it a lot in Rogers, is the downtown.
Yeah.
So you got Onyx Coffee Labs, which is their main hub, the OG, right, in Rogers. Pretty cool. It was just named. It has an heirloom restaurant in there, which is like a little hidden speakeasy restaurant, but their chef just got named as a James Beard nominee.
Yeah, not to mention Yeo's is in there.
Yep.
Yep.
Great stuff going on downtown. Also, there's lots of fun stuff with the rail yard right there downtown, restaurants, breweries, bands. That's also now the home of Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue.
Right. Sorry, Fayetteville.
Yeah. Sorry, we took it from you. What else is kind of driving some of the Rogers things?
Man, I don't think it would have driven me, but when you go there and experience it, I would say stuff like, Top Golf, just those experiences where you can walk in, they have all the stuff, you can eat and drink and play, do whatever you want to. There's a lot of those experiences here already, especially in Rogers, and more coming, that I think adds to the vibe of the city so it stands on its own.
Yeah, something I was just thinking about really is the lake, too.
Yeah.
Like most people think of Beaver Lake as mostly Rogers.
Yep.
Because you can be downtown Rogers and you can be at a marina in 10 minutes.
Yes.
So that's a huge pull for a lot of people, especially a lot of the lakehouse real estate is up there around Rogers, which is another thing that we could probably dive into on another one of these, is just kind of talking about the lake itself, but as close as it is to Rogers and downtown Rogers.
The other thing to add to this too is really kind of the high end apartment stuff. Some new luxury lofts. You got apartments like Ritter and Spool, got 45 units. They're bringing that kind of younger pro demographic kind of vibe, I would say.
Yep.
Yeah, which is kind of churning over the community.
Yeah, it's made a big difference for sure.
Yeah. It's not so bad to be kind of in the middle anymore, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Just the geolocation of you're not so far north like Bella Vista, which we're going to get into in another couple episodes, and you're not as far south as, Fayetteville. So you're kind of in the middle of it. You got access to everything. So just the location of where the city is helps.
And one of the things that has kind of always been Rogers' MO, it's the home to a lot of the vendor offices.
No doubt.
So like
not even to mention the big three, because they're all in Rogers.
They're all right around it. But a lot of those vendor offices that are servicing Walmart are located there in Rogers. So there's a lot of stuff. So let's dive in a little bit to the numbers. We've kind of gone through this on the last few episodes, but why don't you highlight what's going on as far as the market numbers for Rogers today?
Yeah, I'll just start with the biggest. Over the 12-month average right now, the average list price in Rogers is $552,107. That's a price per square foot of $243.22. And average sales price is 97% of that, which is $537,760. That's making right at $237 per square foot sold, which the overall is 366 listings, 90 sales per month. That gives about just over a 4-month supply of inventory.
So as we were walking up the corridor, right, we're at 232 in Fayetteville. We were at like 195 in Springdale. Is that right? 205 in Springdale?
205 in Springdale. Yeah, you're
so
right.
then 243 in Rogers. So as we've gotten into Benton County, the price has jumped a little bit about that. And I think some of that is due to I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. The only 2 country clubs in Benton County, well, I guess is there one in Siloam Springs?
Yes.
There is?
Yes.
The main 2 country clubs, though, are in Rogers. So you got Shadow Valley and Pinnacle.
Yeah.
There's not a country club in Bentonville, which is so weird to think about with Walmart's home office there. And so that price has driven up a little bit. And there's some higher-end homes that are selling in Rogers compared to some of the other ones. So some of the higher price point neighborhoods are Pinnacle, Shadow Valley, that drive that $800 to $3 million range. You got a lot of middle price points around Pleasant Crossing, Copper Ridge, all that stuff around the Bellevue area just west of the highway.
Yeah, there is one in Siloam Springs. It's a 9-hole course, Siloam Springs Golf Club.
Okay.
So, but you're right. I mean, there's room for more.
Yep.
If you want to
well,
look at it
and
that
then
way.
you got Bella Vista. So you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
a lot of golf courses in Bella Vista, but not a true country club like people would think of.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, agreed.
So let's get into some of the new construction stuff. So where is most of the new construction coming right now in Rogers?
Yeah, so there's really kind of some bigger builders right now. D.R. Horton, Schuber Mitchell, and Riggin still has some custom home stuff. Buffington, Riverwood, and some of these, I would say, D.R. Horton's got Magnolia Landing subdivision. It's about 1,500 to 3,000 square foot. Schuber's got stuff, comparable, a little larger starting square footage, so almost 2,000 square feet to 2,600. Brentwood Village, which is Riggins, is about 1,400 square feet to a little over 2,000. And then Buffington is building Huemont North and Pine Hollow, and those all start around the 2,200 mark and go up to almost 2,700 square feet.
Yep. And then there's a lot of custom opportunities for new construction as well. Shadow Valley still has some phases that are going on in there, and that's multiple builders. There's 4 or 5 builders in Shadow Valley that are still building in there. And then there's a lot of other stuff that's just popping up in different areas. There's some infill stuff going on as well.
Yeah.
There's some new upcoming subdivisions, like there's one at 28th and Olive that'll be on the market here pretty soon. And then there's a Pier 6 master plan community that'll be starting to show phases later on this year. So that's some really good stuff that's going on in Rogers. Another thing that's really driving Rogers is the schools. Once again, it's kind of the theme around Northwest Arkansas. All the schools are really good. So with Heritage as well as Rogers High School, it's both great schools and great parts of the community.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, not to mention, I think, we keep talking about this, and some of this is we're just kind of barely highlighting it. And I think, maybe some listeners might need to know this, especially if you're coming from somewhere else. It's not the bidding war like it used to be. And so buyers have a little bit more room. I'm not saying they get everything they want, but sellers are having to move a little bit on the negotiations, whether that's list price or sales price or, repairs or whatever. And so I think that's moving the market just a little bit, because somebody might make an offer and at least instead of getting a declined offer, they're getting a counter, if nothing else.
Yeah, there is negotiation.
There is.
That's the difference, right?
Yes.
In Rogers, we got a 4-month supply, which is leaning up more towards that neutral market of 6 months like we've talked about. But it's pretty neat to see that the market is just kind of evolving. We're getting more normal. And I'll tell you right now, Russell, I think you're feeling it too. Our agents are as busy as we've seen in the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's as much activity going on and as much vibrancy in the office and activities generated going on that it's been really fun to see.
Yeah, we're having to educate more buyers, I would say, and sellers, because, sellers can sometimes, and I hate to generalize people, but a lot of times I put my home on the market and I think I'm going to get 100% of it. And then they wait and they wait and they wait, and they never get the offer they're looking for because they've kind of put it out there that they're not looking for negotiations. I understand we all want top dollar, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you've got to look at it from the buyer's standpoint too. what can I afford? What's my payment? A lot of times comes down to that very last question.
Yeah. And right now interest rates are fluctuating, you
Yep.
know, so there's some question in there as to where they're going to land.
Yeah.
Well, this is another great episode kind of talking about what's happening in Rogers. Anything else you want to add before we close up, and we'll continue on down the road as we go?
Man, call a licensed agent who has experience that can educate you more on this, or listen to our episodes.
We're here for them, right?
That's right. That's right.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time. Please go like, follow, and share NWA and Beyond anywhere where you listen to podcasts. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today, and we'll see you Monday with another episode.